Okay. We'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everybody, to project management. We'll do introductions here. I'm Jenny Knight, the city administrator.
Justin Kinsel, Public Works Director.
Matt Robertson, city engineer.
Tyler Seaman, building official.
Brian Barker with the fire department.
Dan Johnson, Pine View.
And welcome, Glade.
Nice to be here.
You're first on the agenda for today's discussion. So we have submitted a preliminary plat for, let me find the right, for the phase 3 of Summit Views.
So basically what you're looking at here is, this is the part of the Butters property that will be developed as part of our phase 3 of Summit View. Do you want to bring up Geo Gizmo?
Sure.
Help give us some better reference. So basically what we're looking at is, we talked about this last project meeting. Basically, this is our existing development. And the Butters property, so what you looked at, that first drawing, or that first survey, was basically right across this line. These parcels will be divided. So it will be the top 3 of these parcels. And that's what's included in the survey that we looked at. Now you can jump back to that, Jenny, if you would. So basically, that's that parcel. And so we're looking at developing all of that. We had a couple of issues from the last project meeting that we've addressed. And do you want to bring up the concept plan? It was so nice. I went to print all this out last night and I thought, I don't even need to print this out because I've already sent it all to Jenny.
I think our portal cut off part of it, but I think for the purposes of our discussion, well, maybe not.
Yeah, it looks like
Because it cut this east side off of it, but we,
Oh, okay.
or wait, are we rotated? Is that,
Mm,
yeah, we're rotated. Sorry, I have to put north up because I get confused in our discussion.
so
Is that north?
Yeah, that is north. So basically, we had a couple of concerns out of our last project meeting. And one of the things that you didn't like is we had a disconnect here.
Right.
So where Berkeley Drive came through, it was coming down farther through here. So we've made an adjustment to that. It was also a private right of way. This is now public right of way matching what Berkeley Drive is presently. The other issue that we talked about is we had up here a hammerhead that Matt was concerned about, and I think Justin as well, that didn't conform to city standards. And so we determined that we really didn't even need that with the length of that roadway. So we chopped that off. And then we did quite a bit of reconfiguring on units, trying to keep the same density that we discussed with you. So we've made a couple of changes. We shifted this road this way a little bit. And we reconfigured all of these to accommodate for that S turn in Berkeley Drive. And the other thing that we did is there was some discussion last time about what was gonna happen south of here on the rest of the Butters property. And Jenny, on the second page of this submission. Yeah, this is,
So this is connection down to Larsen Lane.
yeah,
yeah, so if you wanna rotate that so that it is. There you go.
Sorry, I have to put north up.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, so basically, that road will come straight through and then tie into Larsen Lane. We're having some discussion about, with the butters about location. We intended to kind of put the detention pond close to here, to the other detention pond. However, we're not completely, on the same page with that yet. Their suggestion is maybe we move it down here, but it will either be here, right next to the existing detention pond, or it will go down in this little corner piece.
I'm wondering if elevations worked out. Do we just expand the existing pond?
That's what I would,
You just slide that up and take, expand the existing pond. So you only have kind of one bigger pond to maintain instead of two. But
Yeah, it's
you have to
definitely a
see-
possibility.
Yeah, you have to see if the
yeah,
elevations
I
work.
think, I mean, this is just concept and
Yeah,
really comes in at a later date.
I know the main concern was seeing the connection of the roadway. And so, we haven't really worked out all the details on the next phase
I
of the
guess-
development.
I guess the way it's said, I mean, would that be upon for phase three of Summit Views plus whatever existing, next phase comes on the butters property? So that would have to go in now. Huh?
yeah, if you're, so it'd have to go in now, I guess, is what you're
The
saying.
pond would have to go in now. But our intention is not to, we won't have any other development right here.
Yeah,
I know that in talking with the butters, we talked to them about what would go in this area. And they would really like to put some commercial, flex spaces in that area. And so that doesn't hold with what we've done through the rest of the development, putting residential against residential. But their comment was, it's already commercial, it's already zoned commercial, so we'd like to keep it commercial. So their intention is to do some kind of commercial flex spaces along here. And so,
along what?
along this side. Right along this strip.
I just was trying to. Well, you got the shaded area, I didn't know if that was.
Right, so
So it connects,
Okay,
this is
yeah,
the
yeah,
bottom
okay.
of those three.
That, I see it.
So commercial development would then start right here and go down as far as we can go down. And I know they're thinking on the detention pond was the furthest, this is kind of kind of a difficult, weird shaped,
Well,
parcel.
you may need to go, I mean, they may need to go further down to be able to capture. Like, if they're
Things, yeah,
developing
from
down
here.
They may not be able to do that to there.
Yeah, I know they do have. Some. Currently, they. Stormwater, most of their stormwater goes on to Utah,
To the west.
yeah. But again, it all depends on. How it all. plays out.
Yeah, one of the comments made in the last meeting was a discussion about the manhole that's here. With the sewer connection there. I did have our engineer do a field check on that. And I don't have all the results of that yet, but they've noted what, what the elevations were in that manhole. For future connection, so. So I think that was, from my notes, I think that was all the comments and. That came out of the last project meeting, so we've tried to address all of those. Was there anything else that comes to your minds that we needed to correct or look at?
So my concern is moving forward too quickly with the concept plan before we have approval
Right.
to do the subdivision and start the rezone process. I don't want you to dive in
Right.
too far where this is an amendment to your existing MDA and the parcel has to be subdivided before we can,
Right.
do the rezone. So, I mean, if there's some very obvious things and
No, I think-
concerns that we want to give feedback on, but I don't want to dive too far
I
into
think
the
for this
concept.
purpose of this meeting, it has utility. Onto the property. So from mine and Matt's, there, as far as what Jenny goes with the planning and the code.
Yeah, what
So
about, the partner co, I mean, it does talk about commercial. I guess they're not.
They're not asking to rezone that south part
Right.
mixed use, right? Correct?
Correct,
They wanted to leave that commercial.
Our intention is to subdivide as this drawing shows.
Okay, so I guess the
So we would
commercial,
subdivide and then rezone this portion.
commercial pieces will still be accessing the road and commercial zone. So,
That is correct.
Yeah, this would all be residential using Berkeley and the new road.
right,
And I imagine you'd have some kind of a utility easement to the south to run the utilities from phase 3 to south
Yes,
or Berkeley, which
we're tying into Berkeley,
okay, back on the concept plans, so this is gonna be an amendment to the,
It would be an amendment to our MDA.
that's what they were proposing, is an amendment to the original MDA.
because were there any other, I can't remember, were there any other amenities being offered in this additional?
Well, we're not to that point yet. This is just preliminary plat. Doesn't work to then even go into the rezone.
Yeah, with the amendments to the MDA.
Yeah, all that.
However, in answer to your question, they are gonna be integrated into the HOA for Summit View.
Okay.
And then I think the only amenity that we're adding on this, that we intend to add on this portion of the development is there would be a play area, which you can see in the bottom left-hand side by unit 40. So there's a play area there with a little trail going to it.
Well,
And
I do like the, yeah. Lining up with Berkeley and keeping that
Yeah,
public through there, that looks a lot better. Than the last.
yeah, I think that was a good suggestion.
um,
What is the density on this compared to your others?
Density is very similar. Maybe slightly higher. I think we're at 7.5 or 7.4 units per acre.
And Ryan, does that one stub? Well, what's the length on that? I guess is that, do you have any
I
concern
can't.
with that?
I don't, what's,
You know what
as
that
long
length?
as it's less than 150 feet, we're,
It's 150.
and we're okay.
Yeah, right up.
Yeah. Good number. Someone can hit, someone can, oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, we did talk about that challenge. It wanted to make sure it conformed, yeah.
So let's kind of look at the plat here and see, so you're just calling it one lot?
At least, initially until we get through the rest of the process. Obviously, we're gonna have to go through this process twice, so we'll have to subdivide it as when we get the approved lots.
Yeah, seems a little tricky, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
I know I didn't excuse Brandon for our meeting today, but I know he's had a conversation with the butters too. With other discussions that are going on in that area of the city,
Oh, okay.
so we'll just see. See what happens with that. Matt, are there any concerns? I guess utilities for a single lot come straight off of Berkeley.
Yeah, right.
Technically, we can count that as the frontage on a road.
given an address on that road and you subdivide it.
Yeah, and where this is just right, this is just the preliminary plat for the subdivision, right? What we're looking at
Yes.
here,
Yeah.
so.
Is there a better way to do that than just subdividing it twice?
Well, I think our initial hope when we were talking to you was that the entire butters would be included in that, I think, was probably what kind of made sense to us, but if that's not, we don't own the property, we're here to tell you what the process is to move through the city, so. I think we will want to check and see about what we don't want to have to vacate any type of subdivision to do the summit view, so we'll wanna follow up on that too, cause if you're naming it Butters Acres here.
I don't know that that name will stay.
I was gonna say, we might wanna make sure that we're not having to vacate a lot from a subdivision to move forward with your project in the future, so.
Yeah, that name came from when the Butters started working with the other development company that they were working with. The survey was done at that point, with no intention of connecting that with Summit View except for the roadway.
Okay.
But now where they're integrating in, I would guess that we would call it Summit View.
Okay,
You know, at least this portion of their development.
and we can. So I guess it makes sense to talk about what next steps in the concept plan process as well. I mean, if there's no, and I don't wanna move too quickly, Matt, so if
No, I
there's
mean,
other
we'll
things
take
on the
the,
preliminary,
we'll take the plat and review it,
okay?
get over whatever comments we have on it.
So we'll send back first review comments on the plat, and then we'll go from there. As far as timeline for preliminary plat does go to the planning commission for their approval. And then,
And what would the timing be on that, do you think, with where we're at right now?
well, we have 14 days to respond or 10 days to respond. I don't have the code pulled up. What's our subdivision? Is it 14? Thank you, Tyler. So we have 14 days to get our comments back to you on this review.
Okay,
And then for planning commission, the due date for February 12th would be January 28th. So that would be a pretty quick turnaround, depending on how many comments Matt's team has for you. Because it would have to be submitted back to us by January 28th. But the good news is we're early in January this year for project management.
Yeah.
So that's our next planning commission meeting is February 12th.
and Matt, what are your thoughts, sir? Is it a possibility to get these done? So
If this is all we're looking at, the turnaround should be fairly quick. So I don't see that being a problem by the end of the month.
that would be great if we could accommodate that.
Yeah,
So Nathan, do you feel like it would be beneficial for, we don't want to cross lines between subdivision and concept plans for the mixed use, but do you think it would be beneficial for the planning commissioners to see the concept plan associated with this?
Potentially, yeah. I'm wondering how many agenda items this is going to be. Because first, we're gonna have to subdivide the commercial lot. Then we're gonna have to rezone the commercial lot.
The commercial lots remaining outside the subdivision.
But so this lot right now has to get subdivided from the rest of the lot that it's on. Before we're then rezoning it, or is that what?
Yes.
We're going to subdivide it and rezone in one.
No, we're not rezoning it yet.
We're not rezoning.
The reason will come with the MDA
The
amendment.
rezone has to go through the MDA process.
Okay,
So this is just,
so it's gonna be a commercial lot fronting vertically.
it's a residential.
Residential.
Well, right now, those are commercial zoned. Because
These
they're
are-
all the same.
so
So let me go to the, yes. this
The
will
one
be
in the
helpful.
middle is ag.
So this line here is the line that determines the commercial on the Butters
Okay, but those
property.
two side properties, the whole,
Yes, they
These
are
are-
commercial.
Those are
that's
commercial.
a commercial zone property that we're subdividing. So unless we,
So our existing zoning map. Let me just pull it up here for everyone. The bottom half of those are. That's where we get our lines crossed, right, with zoning. So I like clean parcel lines when we rezone. So our current zoning map shows.
Jeez,
I know.
somebody ought to get on college.
I've just been when I've been pulling up GIS maps this morning, they've been going really slow. I'm not sure why.
Well, if we go off of our hard copy, where, I know the butters parcel lines are,
Something.
I guess we could find from GeoGizmo, right? If that was pulled up, it should show you how, where the parcel lines are, so let's look. Yeah. I don't know, Matt, he brings up a good point. Do we need to show the remainder of these parcels?
I'm trying to wrap my head around it too. Well, the other thing is if we were doing just the one lot, and if you're only looking at it as a one lot, we would probably require them to do some sort of cul-de-sac or something to actually have the frontage, right? Because it's just a stub road because they don't really have. But we know that that's not gonna happen. We know that this whole development's coming in. It's just, if you were looking at it by itself. It's just.
So I guess it's all of them are ag, except for that.
That line that you're making is commercial.
So, yeah, this is where it gets tricky because
They're bringing.
there's some history here with these lots that spell out where the commercial line is. So we were interpreting that this was still A1 zone based on,
And if
This
and if
map,
it stays
but the
the A1
parcels
zone for
themselves-
now,
Yeah,
for the
but
subdivision.
The parcels-
Subdivision was going
if you
past
look
that
at the
line.
parcels, they come all the way back. That's what's so tricky about the situation.
Well, they were kind of off kind of that line.
We had to go through this.
Yeah, that's,
When we were trying to figure out if they could have all the equipment back there.
So right now it shows that this.
But this is commercial,
Yeah.
this is.
shows that is commercial, but these show ag down to here.
But they're not, because we had a situation where it was determined through a judgment that they're commercial.
Oh, okay.
So I don't have that pulled up here, but they're defined by parcel number and for lack of a better word, where the commercial property that's being used is defined. So I just want to be careful about that. So it sounds to me like maybe we need to do a really deep dive in this.
766 never got re-identified.
It did, because it's commercial down here on the front.
Okay,
And
I
it's,
didn't remember if they did that one, because wasn't that the old dairy property?
yeah, but it's got split zoning
So
too.
Yeah.
You're right in that there's no line defining that.
Yeah, that's.
Yes, yep. Yeah, this is kind of.
Well, is there a problem with doing, can we just do the can we do the subdivision and the rezone at the same time?
That was my
We can't do the
question.
rezone. Because it's mixed use, the rezone is the entire negotiation of
Yeah,
that.
right.
So, oh, but you're saying just postpone the subdivision until
Yeah.
we've negotiated,
I'm
that would
saying-
be,
I'm
that would
just
be
saying,
up
can we
to
do that at the
Glade
same,
team.
can we do
Yeah.
that concurrently at the same time?
Cause that, what I'm trying to avoid is them putting all of their efforts into it and then us getting a no from
Sure.
the city.
right.
That's
Right.
Yeah,
clean cut way of saying that.
right. Yeah, because there's a lot of work that has to be done with the MDA.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, because if we, bring this in as phase 3 of the MDA, then we essentially gotta have all our engineering.
Engineering, everything.
Yeah. So I think it makes more sense to at least get the subdivision approved, the subdividing of the property approved, and then we can begin in earnest and get all of our engineering work done.
Mhm. But it does bring up a good point of what needs to be included from the existing parcels.
I guess you're subdividing those existing parcels to create your lot one.
Now, can we show like subdivision just? Can they include more of the butters property and have those as lots 2 or 3 or whatever?
So Jenny, there was another drawing that came in with that art for the survey.
A1.
There was a second page of that.
But this,
I don't
oh,
know.
yes, there it is.
There was a second page that showed the overall. Yeah, that shows one of them. So then on the left side, yeah, now on the top, that would be the parcel one that we're asking for subdivision.
Right.
And then that now it shows the other parcels.
Okay.
So what, I guess, what you'd have to find out is what butters want that all in one parcel. Cause right now they've got 3 different parcel numbers. And then it'd go into one parcel on a subdivision, on a commercial subdivision. Right?
You mean the remainder?
The
Yeah,
remainder
to the south.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, why don't we, like, get this sent over and I can look through it with Brandon Green as well. And then we'll start a review, but then also maybe do some more discussion about the best way to do it and get back with you.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be our best bet too, is to
Right.
let us do a little bit. And I'll provide the other documents that might help define where those lines are. So maybe this review is gonna take a little longer than initially. We'll try our best. Obviously, we have the 14 days to respond, so we'll do that. We'll get comments back to you, but we might need to make sure that we've got our ducks in a row. It's up to you. There's a certain level of this, it's up to you, right, Glade? I'm just mindful of how much effort and energy and how far down the road we get without a solid confidence of what's gonna happen, the end result's gonna be.
Understood.
But it's
Yeah.
your team that's driving the bus, so you tell me.
yeah. Well, obviously, yeah, I think it makes sense to move forward with a subdivision application as intended.
Okay.
And the question that I will need to flesh out with the butters is, do we leave those? What we may have to do is adjust, if they want to leave those as 3 individual parcels south of there, then we'll probably need to, have a description on those, and that would require, amending that legal description on the remainder parcels to the south. And then we can, but I'm guessing at this point, they would want to leave them separate, but I will confirm that with them. Would it be easier in the process to combine those parcels at this point, or as one commercial parcel, or would it be better to just leave them as is with an updated legal description?
Well, the cleanest thing is to probably combine them. They're ski wampus and
Yes,
the
they are.
frontage is ski wampus
And
on.
it's, and as Jamie says, it's gonna, like on parcel 766, there's, 766.
That's a long one.
I don't know what the frontage and the UDOT allowance of access onto that would be.
Hmm.
So how can we create a lot of 0 access?
Yeah, and we've had some discussions with butters about that parcel as well, but is this a separate parcel too? It is, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was.
No, I don't know. We don't have anybody from butters here, right? Might be beneficial for them to attend the meeting as well, or we can set up a meeting outside of this meeting so that within that 14-day time frame, and have them come in so that we can get immediate answers to move forward as well with what their intent is. We can have Brandon Green set that up for us.
Yeah.
Does that?
Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's good. I mean, I can, I'm communicating with them regularly, so I can obviously flesh it out with them too, but where there's
Yeah.
pros and cons both ways, it might be productive to get all the parties
Get
together.
everybody together to have that conversation.
Yeah, I think that's a good suggestion,
Okay,
because I can see Justin's concern on that one parcel that has such a narrow frontage. You know, with maybe potentially no access.
And then admittedly, GeoGizmo isn't exact, and so the lines aren't,
Right.
but there's a lot going on here.
Yes, there is. Yeah, and you know, it may be that. I don't know that it would necessarily affect their operations, but you know, obviously, there's a couple of different companies and entities that work in that. On that parcel. I don't know that that's, you know, a complicated factor. It might be in their minds, but. I don't know if it's a complicated factor. If we combine that all into one parcel, I don't know if that has implications that would affect their operations. You know, because right now they're not obviously prepared to alter what they're doing there presently.
Which I think warrants another conversation with them at the table, right? With our side, again, our role in this is to bring you through the city's process, and we don't want to make those decisions for your team or for their team.
Yeah, no, I do think they can move forward with, I mean, like. Okay, confidence knowing that this area is identified as mixed use in our general,
Absolutely, yeah.
in our future land use map.
Mhm.
So it is identified in the general plan. Map, so I think.
It is, the issue we had with the mixed use was the current commercial businesses that are taking place aren't aligned
Yeah,
and allowed
true,
uses in the
right.
mixed use as commercial.
Yeah.
So I respect that they wanted to remain CP2 because there's not the same restrictions as there are in the,
Mixed use, right?
yes.
Yeah.
And now the master development agreement, you know, governs the mixed use development, and so there could potentially be language included in that. But that's what I was suggesting before, like a timeline of eventually it's gonna turn into this or this, a long-term goal there, but if they're not interested in putting timelines on their business, or they don't have that set in stone, then we'll just work through the process with the information that we have.
Yeah, so one question, if we do combine all of these parcels to the south into one parcel. Does that then affect zoning? Does that then affect, you know, what they're doing on the property? I guess that's my bigger concern is, so if we do combine it into one, what
Well,
ramifications does?
Yeah, subdivisions do not change zoning. So there wouldn't be, it wouldn't remove the CP2 zone.
Okay,
We would, in some ways, it cleans it up if we can create two lots there, because then it makes a distinction between what is
Mhm.
commercial and what is currently being used as agricultural.
right. And that really is our intent, is to kind of clean it up and make it, you know, more defined. And they're fine with, you know, the commercial aspect of the property to the south. But the location of that next to residential, you know, on the north and on the east, I mean, makes it a lot more sensible.
Yeah.
To integrate it into residential, and I think also it gives the city some additional residential, you know, opportunities. And again, you know, smaller lots, smaller houses, lower price on the, you know, it fills the need that the city's looking for more affordable housing for sure.
Well, and I think the arbitrary line that's currently existing there is really hard for us to make determinations like this. It's much cleaner to have those lines defined. The mixed use, where we're running into conflict with the mixed use, and we have another project as well that where it makes sense on our high traffic roads to have normal CP2 uses. When I say normal, like gas stations, construction companies and things like that, where you're putting those next to residential homes, to your point, we have classified what we will allow to mixed use. And gas stations, things that people don't necessarily want to live next to, are excluded out of the mixed use. So that's where it kind of gets tricky.
Yeah, and our advisement to the butters is that we create you know, in the future, on this southern portion of their properties. We create some kind of a buffer zone. You know, between what would be residential and commercial. So we have, in our early preliminary discussions with them, we've talked about, you know, doing maybe some multifamily there. You know, so maybe there's some multifamily and then the commercial further south. At that point, they would, you know, that's the point that they would need to probably relocate their commercial business to a more suitable location. So.
Well, let's dive into our review with the information you sent over. We'll have Brandon reach out and set up a meeting. We'll meet and discuss. We'll have all of our other information as to what has been previously determined as the commercial line on those butters properties. And then we can get straight answers of what their long-term intentions are with the remainder parcels and how it makes sense to move forward with the subdivision.
Okay.
Does that sound like a plan?
It does.
Matt, you okay with that?
Yep, sounds good. I'll get with Brandon and. Could you? I know we got stuff that came through the portal, or could you have? Your engineer or could you just forward?
Did I not forward those?
I don't think so.
Plats to you?
Yeah, I don't think I've sent it to Matt yet, so.
We just got it when we were posting the agenda,
Yeah,
right? So, yeah, I'll get those over to you, Matt. That's probably on me.
Oh, no, you're fine. Yeah, if you only have the ones that came through the portal though.
No, I have these.
Oh, do you have the?
I have
Okay.
Well,
And they are in the portal too.
I need, if you don't mind, for you to resend those, unless they're not that bad, because I
Oh, that.
don't know how much
Didn't come up
cut off.
properly. Yeah, I'll just send them to Matt.
Okay. Because we have a problem with our portal that just cuts off
Okay,
PDFs.
all right,
That would be helpful.
sounds good.
Then we can see your full concept plan.
Yeah, well, and essentially you're seeing all of it except for where it
Just the
just butts up that
south
property
boundary.
line. Yeah, there is.
A little bit of green space.
There is some green space
Just a little
there.
bit of setback there. Okay. All right. Anything else?
No, just a quick update on other Summit View Phase 1 and 2. We have submitted, we have made the revisions that were requested by Bonita Vista Water. Those exceptions have been submitted to the state for their approval. We anticipate that we'll have those, I would guess, based on Bonita Vista's timeframes that they normally said, we should have them this week or next week back from the state. And I know we also had to make some changes on Oak Hollow. In the same regard. And so those have not been submitted to the state yet. Those were sent back to the engineer with additional requirements that they want us to change. And so I was talking to our engineer about that yesterday. He was gonna check with Bonita Vista's engineer. And make sure that we are all on the same page, but those revisions will be done, you know, really soon and submitted to the state for final approval. In addition, we have secured all of the easements that were needed for Oak Hollow, for utility easements. So we have the sewer, stormwater, secondary water easements that have been completed on next to the former Love property. That is secured. We have that ready to record. And we've also secured a secondary water easement coming down off of the Heaps property, alongside of the Heaps property, and it's to tie into the pond there at Warren Hollow. Matt, did you receive from our engineer, did he send you the calculations that you were looking for?
No, I don't think I saw that.
I had hoped he got those to you before he took off to
He's-
Israel.
Right, he sent me. Some an updated plat. But I don't think it had any, no, unless it was on the sheets, I didn't receive any separate like irrigation calculations. So he sent me an updated plan set right before he left. Let me see.
So did he send you just the plat or the, or updated
No,
engineering?
drawings as well,
Okay.
but. I don't think I have anything as far as the. Yeah, that secondary system. So they haven't sent over the calculations. I think he had,
I thought he had that completed.
I think he had him working on it, but. I haven't seen that. I can follow up with that. Was he having Ryan work on it, I think, you know? Ryan
James. Well, James Reese was working.
was doing the drawings. I think he had Ryan Bingham working on the
Maybe,
calculations
yeah,
for the
I'm not
irrigation
sure.
system.
I can talk to James today and find out if he knows where they're at on
Okay,
that.
yeah,
Because Andy's out of town until
next week or
middle of next week, I think 14th or something like that.
Okay.
So, just could I ask if you guys have had any do you have any updates on, the Brook acquisition?
I did ask Brandon about that earlier this week and he sent a follow-up email. But I haven't seen him since we had that conversation.
Okay. I didn't know what I tried calling Brandon a few times and left messages over the last few days, so I haven't heard back from him.
Yeah, that would have been Tuesday afternoon.
Okay,
And then he's been out of the office since then.
Yeah, what's that guy doing? I haven't seen him.
He came down.
oh, he did, he got sick.
So we excused him last night. He's excused today, but yeah, I haven't heard from him since that conversation, but I know he sent an email, follow-up email on that.
Okay. There any incentives we can put together to make that happen?
We'll leave that off the record.
True.
We've
given him.
given plenty of time
I
and
know.
we've approved it through council, so.
Okay. All right. Okay, very good. Anything else?
I just have one thing, is we do have, when you're doing the splat, we do have an easement along the east side up to this corner and then all the way on the north side following.
Following the ditch, just go along the ditch.
Just following,
So,
so
sorry,
starting here at Berkeley,
Okay,
up here, and then all the way across.
okay.
You have a line,
We have a line there, that feeds the school.
Okay.
I didn't know that school had specialized irrigation.
yeah, they have sprinklers down by the parking lot.
What size,
What
size
They
line
also
is
have,
it?
they have
4-inch.
It's a 4. So is that a line that we would tie into then for this? phase three?
Yes, well,
Oh, you probably.
so I included it in phase 2. It would be better to do it in phase 3 because it'll take out, because right now we have you putting in a meter right here, a connection,
Right,
so we can kill all of this line.
oh, yeah.
But if you could do it here instead, that would just save more. More of that line that we can get rid of or abandon.
Yeah.
And it won't be in the backyards and stuff.
And so that feeds from phase 2 then, for phase 1?
If it's feeds
So-
from phase 1 all the way through phase 2, and then we can abandon.
everything.
Abandon everything east, okay.
So in the drawings that we sent you, we included it in phase 2. But that was before we knew phase 3 was coming.
Okay, right.
And so you can ignore that for phase 2, and then for phase 3, we'll have you cut that.
Okay,
That's all I have.
Perfect. Any comments from? It's good, okay,
okay,
thanks, Glade.
thank you.
We'll keep in contact with that secondary meeting.
Okay, sounds good. Yeah, let me know. And we'll move this forward as quickly as we can. Hopefully it'll be a lot quicker than some of you days wanted to. I mean, I love you all, but, 2 years.
The second meeting of the month on Thursdays is on your calendar.
I know,
probably,
it
isn't
really is, yeah, part of the committee. You, well, you don't have a floodplain or.
We don't have any flood issues, we don't have any stream alteration permits.
Right.
The only thing we do have is along the north edge of those 3 parcels, there is a stream there, but we've already addressed that in some of you phase 1 and 2 irrigation. So,
All right.
okay, thank you very
Thank you.
much, appreciate it.